Hey, welcome back, Lakeview Lakers. We are in 7th grade art, and it is Laker Nation. And we are learning how to paint a nose using oil pastel. And I'm trying to conserve paper. That's how I drew it on that side. But now today we are going to do a nose. So we're going to work on our nose. And remember last week we learned how to draw our nose with pencil, and we learned how to shade it. We learned the basic system for creating a nose using some simple shapes. So we started with the idea of that. We also talked about using looking at how a nose is shaped and that it is a round, it's a cylinder, it's not a series of hard lines. We also talked about how it fit in the space between your eyes and the proportions that make it up, and then we'll be discussing that more later. So we are going to get started with how to paint a nose. So today I'm going to take a blank sheet of paper, which I have right here, and I am going to take my orange. I'm going to do my picture in blue. I'm going to draw my nose in blue, and the idea is that we might be running out of other colors, so I want to use other colors. So I'm going to use my blue and orange today. Orange is the complement to blue, so I'm using my light orange, my yellow orange, and I'm also going to use my white. So I'm going to start with what I did before. I folded my paper in half, and then I fold it in half this way. And I don't press it hard, just enough so I know where my center is. And I'm going to start with my circle. That should go, well, that went a little too far that way. So I'm going to go like that. I can scrape that and get some of that off. I could use a tool like this and scrape off some more. But that's going to be my nose. I'm going to divide my nose in half this way. And then I'm going to raise that up to about halfway here and about halfway here. Then I'm going to draw a line that goes direct to there, to the point at halfway. And then I'm going to draw a line that goes from there to there halfway. And I think that's a little off. That might be because my circle's a little off and I'm looking at this sideways. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a light line that goes up the middle. Then I'm going to divide this circle in half again and divide this circle in half again. Then I'm going to put a line on the outside here and a line on the outside here. This area is going to be the bridge of my nose where it's the lightest. This area in here is where it's going to be the darkest. Now I draw a 45-degree line that goes up and a 45-degree line that goes up. And that's going to represent, that's the basic shape of my nose. Now, to draw my nose, I'm going to copy the shape that's here, and I'm going to come up with my blue, and I'm going to go to that line, and I'm going to draw my nostril. Then I'm going to do the same on this side. I'm going to go across, and I'm going to draw a line that comes there. And now I've got my nostrils drawn in. Now to draw the outside of the nostril, I'm going to make the letter C, and I follow this, and then I could cut it short. I determine how big I want my nostrils to be. I'm going to make these nostrils big. So I'm going to do the same over on this side. It's going to be a backward C, and it goes up to that same height. And there I roughly have my nose shape. All right. So first thing I'm going to do, I did this differently on the video. I'm going to put blue in here right away, and then I'm going to go over it with my orange. Now, I put shadow in right away to show where that shadow is going to go, and I'm going to follow the rough shape of my nostril and come down and go around here. There's a part of your nose that's always in shadow, and I talked about that earlier today. And I talked about it last week. If this is my profile, and this is my lip, the bottom portion of our nose, so this part of our nose is usually always in shadow. The only time it's not in shadow is when I lift myself up like this and the light can shine on it. So that's why I'm going to put some shadow right in there. So I'm going to take my orange and I'm going to cover some orange in there right away. And I'm going to put my shadow down, and I'm just making a hatch mark, and you can see already how it discolors where it went over. And I can go over my blue, and that'll make it dark already. All right, so that's the beginning of my shadow. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to determine that my sunlight is coming from this side. So because my sunlight is coming from the upper right side, up here, I'm going to have sunlight. So I'm going to have this portion of my nose the button of my nose is going to get white. So I'm going to crosshatch my white. I'm going to crosshatch my white here. Then I'm going to go over and I'm going to start a line of crosshatch. I'm going to go vertical back and forth here towards the top. Then I'm going to go crosshatch it this way. And I'm going to move it all the way out to that line. Now, my deepest, darkest white is actually right on the center. I'm going to have a mix of white and blue in those other spots. All right, so there I got that going. I've got my orange in here already. I'm going to start, I'm going to put some blue in earlier than I did today. I'm going to think about an area right here that's going to get shadow and an area right here that's going to get shadow. This is going to be shadowed and it should be pretty dark all along here. And I'm going to get some more shadow that'll go right here. So those are areas that I'm going to add in right now. So I'm going to come in with my blue and I'm going to add it in a cross. I'm going to go vertically like this over that. Then I'm going to bring it and I'm going to cross hatch it because this is going to be an area that's kind of dark. All right, now I've got a good area added in right there. I'm going to add a little shadow just right in here. Not much. It's going to follow the nostril just a little bit. And I'm going to get some shadow that's going to follow this nostril, but this side, more of this side is going to have some shadow in it. So I'm going to bring my orange through here and around the outside of my nostril. And it's going to come into that outside layer right there. Now I'm going to take that blue and I'm going to put that blue over that. Bring my blue so it touches my white right there. Now I want to cross this, so I'm going to turn my paper a little bit. And I'm going to cross that blue right into that orange. I'm going to come over here. Notice I didn't touch the corner of my nostril there. I'm going to leave that as white. And I should have done the same over here. I need to scrape off some of that blue so it's not as dark. And you can see it starting to come off. So then I'm going to put some white there. And I completely forgot to do that. So I'm going to put some white in. That's going to be an area that's getting lit by the sunshine. And then all the way over here is going to get some white onto there. And I'm going to put in a little more thicker white right in here. And then I'm going to get a line of orange that follows just really lightly right along the edge here. And I'm going to extend that up in just a moment. I'm going to take my blue, crosshatch that blue onto that orange, making sure I go over. All right, so now I've got the start of my nose and I'm starting to shade it. I'm going to add some blue that goes across and into that area of white. And I'm going to bring a little bit of blue just above my button. And a little bit of the blue right there. And I'm going to bring a whole bunch of blue up into there. Maybe a few spots of it right in there. All right, now it's time. I'm going to scumble, so I'm going to take a little bit of this, and I'm going to rub that in. So I'm going to rub in all my dark. So I'm going to go through, and I'm going to rub this dark in. And I'm going to speed it up so you don't have to watch me doing it the whole way. All right, as you can see, I've scumbled that in. I'm going to add a little bit more blue. So I'm going to clean my blue first. I'm going to add a little more blue over some of these spots. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to scumble in my blue and go over these spots that are supposed to be a little darker and add in some blue. All right, so I'm going to rescumble this. So I'm going to put this over my finger and just lightly go over it so it has a layer of blue. I'll pause the video again so I can speed this up for you. All right, we're back. I'm going to go and scumble the light blue now. So I'm just going to push the light blue, and I'm going to do the whole thing, and then I'm going to let it go over into the dark, and right where it crosses the, I'm going to start pulling it onto the white right at the nose there. I'm going to do the same on this side. Now, if I don't like how this looks, I can always scrape it. I can always add more. I can always go over it with another color. Mistakes happen quite often, especially when you're painting. And you just got to learn to either wipe, scrape, or just paint over. It's not a big deal. Now, there's a guy that I follow that does an X method. So he kind of goes and he crosses things over with an X, and it blends and it pulls things into other layers. And I like using that, especially with these oil pastels. It really works that other material out and into. I want some of that to come into there. Really make that. Oh, yeah. How's that looking? Now, I'm at a point where I want to look at it. So what I'm going to do is what I would normally do in class is I'd have you take some tape, and I'd have you put some tape on the end, or we would just use a magnet. Here's the one I did this morning. Now I'm putting this one up there against that. We talked about that this morning. Now I'm going to look at it from a distance, and I'm going to see my imperfections. One of the things I see is that this nostril isn't as wide as that because of the shadow here. So that means I'm going to have to bring some blue on this side, and I might need to highlight this and make this bigger. I also think the bulb of my nose could be squished down right here, so I'm going to scrape some of that out. Okay, as you can see, I've scraped some of that away, made that a little less severe. I also brought in some white and added it here with a little bit of a blue to make that nostril appear more. I'm going to do the same over here. This is going to just get a little highlight. And then I'm going to bring in a little blue because it's going to be a little more in shadow. And there might be a spot there that gets a little highlight. Yep. Now I'll scumble that and soften that edge so that doesn't make that so bright. And then I'm going to do the same over here. Soften my edge just a little bit here. Bring that blue up and around. And I might even bring a little more blue, just bring that in so I see my nostril a little more. And then where that happens, I might see a little more shadow. So I'm going to put a little orange right there, a little orange right there. Might bring a little orange in this way. Then I'll bring some blue over that, and that helps to make that nostril look a little more nostril-y. Yeah, look at that. Now I'm going to scumble again, bring that in, soften that edge. Now, each time I do this, I get a little different result, not because I'm following a pattern or because I do things sometimes they work themselves a little different. And that happens. Again, remember I talked, sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes I do things just a little differently. But now I'm liking the looks of that better. Look at that. Yeah, nice, nice. All right, so now I'm going to add some blue. I'm going to bring my blue and softly add some blue over on the outside to fill that in. And I'm going to add some blue over here and down around here. All right, so I've got that blue added. I'm going to take my white. I'm going to do a little crosshatch on this side since this is the side with the light. I'm going to add some of that white in, and it's okay if it goes over some of that dark right there. This side is going to be a little lighter and be less in shadow. So that side's going to be a little darker blue. This side's going to be, and now I'm just going to scumble that. Smooth it out so it blends in. Makes that line a little less harsh. And I'll continue that. All right, we're pretty close to done. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to add in the laugh lines. I'm going to draw two 45-degree angle lines that go here. And they are going to be those laugh lines that form. Then I'm going to draw two lines here that are going to be the snot splitter. And I'm going to add in a little shadow right here. It's going to come over to here. Then a little bit of shadow is going to go and follow the nose right here and the shape of the nose. And there'll be a little bit right underneath here. There's going to be just a tad right there. All right. I even may get a little bit of shadow over here, so I got to shade that in. That's going to give it a little weight on that side. I got to cover that with some blue to make that darker. That'll eliminate some of those spaces that we have going there. Cover my laugh line. Cover my snot splitter. Go over it. The shadow of my snot splitter. Go over it. I got to come in and add some white there. Cover this smile line. Now I'm going to scumble that. All right, there's my nose. Now I'm going to come in with some white just to finish up. Get a little bit of a highlight right here on that side of the snot splitter. And then on this side of the snot splitter, it's going to get a little white because it's going to get a little shadow. Make sure that I got a good highlight there. Cover that with a little highlight. Get a little highlight right there. And run a fresh bead of highlight right across my bridge. And then maybe a little more just white right along there. All right, last thing I do is I sign it. Lower right-hand corner. Not very big, so it doesn't block from the view. And there it is. There's my finished nose, and only the nose knows.